And we're live. Hi, everybody. We are back with the 32nd episode of the Goose podcast this year. It's been a big year. And this is going to be one of my favorite ones because this is social media, sports, technology, football, all the things I nerd out on. And with me today, I have Tim Chase from Striver. So, Tim, if you want to introduce yourself and I suppose explain who you are, what Striver is, and why we've got a pile of football jerseys in the background.
Yeah, and an axolotl. Morning, how you doing? My name's Tim Chase. I'm the founder of Striver, the world's first abuse-free social media platform. I'm sure we'll go into a bit more detail on that in a bit. I founded the platform or the company with Gilberto Silva and Roberto Carlos, and Harry Maguire, Sol Campbell, Jens Lehmann, and all these other people are part of the business as well. So that's me. So basically, all things fan side of things, social media, and all that type of stuff is where I sit. And where I'm surrounded by football shirts is they were just cheap Christmas presents for my kids, basically. So they're all the people that I work with, so the Roberto signed shirts and Gilberto and stuff like that. So I'm unfortunately I've still got the flu, so I'm having this podcast from my son's bedroom as he's at school.
We are both in isolation here. This is isolation podcast grounds. But what I'm really fascinated about here is how does something like this get started? Because I think you kind of get social media as well. I can only imagine from a player's perspective, you lose a game, criticism is fine, but calling you all of the things that we see on that platform that we shall not name anymore, the artist formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah.
It's how does this even kind of get off the ground? Where do you start?
Well, I think so our plan is by 2030 to be a general media, social media platform for all. But while we've got great investors and we've got a great message behind us and great people behind us, we haven't got enough budget right now to take on Twitter and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube and everything else all at once.
Yeah.
So we're taking it apart, and obviously taking it down by industry we'd be mad not to start with football with Gilberto and Roberto around. We'd be mad not to start with that.
Yeah.
So how it started? It started 8 years ago when I became a single dad. That's how the artist formerly known as True Challenge started and evolved and pivoted to Striver. Was that I just saw my son spending all his time. I've got to be a little bit diplomatic about things here and what I say.
Sure.
But he was behind in every single metric possible: reading, writing, becoming violent to other children, not socializing, and was just obsessed with an iPad. So whenever he came to me, trying to get him off the iPad was a real struggle because he was just totally obsessed with it, and it was a bit of a crutch for him. So I saw I was a tech headhunter at the time, and I saw how powerful what I now know as influencers are. I used to watch these young, as Ryan's Toy Review was the kid who used to watch. And he used to just sit there and watch it hours and hours and hours. And I'm like, he's losing his childhood just by sitting in front of this device. There must be something out there, which is rather than just watch like a zombie, because all the platforms at the moment, you just watch content. It's not more than that. You just sit there and watch stuff. There must be a platform out there which can actually use the power that these influencers have over him to get him to do something constructive. And at this point, draw a picture, ride a bike, play football, shoot a basketball, anything at this point was the starting process of getting him off the device. And I couldn't find anything out there that was doing that. So I went, you know what, I'll find some clever people that could. And we built the first version of the app. And that blew up. The first ever piece of content we put out, they got 1 million views. And our platform was all about, it's about responses. So it's not about necessarily you, it's about your community. So you can put out there, who do you think is going to win the Premier League, or can you do this trick, and people can respond. But at the time that was the idea, as a way of engaging with your fan base. But because of the background of my son, it had to be super secure and safe. So we had a zero tolerance policy against abuse. That was done manually. So we had to go through every single comment, every single video. And going into then lockdown happened, and we worked with you. I put a message out on the company's social media saying, if you have fans or students and you don't know how to engage with them during the lockdown, get in contact, use our platform, and we'll give you free advice. We're all in this together. 3 days later, the United Nations got in contact with us, and we had a huge project with the United Nations during that. which kind of blew us up. And then coming out of lockdown, our users grown 140%. Excuse me. And we realized there was AI around, which means we could grow at scale. Because if we had to manually moderate each piece of content, we weren't going to grow. But AI is there. So we've now pivoted to Striver, which is, I say, generally planned to be a social media platform for all, but we do one thing different. Well, two things different. One, we actually moderate content. No other company moderates content, as you can probably tell. We moderate content, and we do it before it goes live.
Sure.
Instead of the post going live with something racist or homophobic or abusive in some way, it goes through our moderation first, and once it cleared moderation, then it goes live. So we have zero abuse on our platform. Now, the interesting thing that what happens when that is I always love this question. Do you know the most engaged platform in the world is TikTok currently?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So when it started, it was at 20% engagement, and now it's the biggest.
Yeah.
What percentage of users do you think actually engage? When I say engage, actually post and comment on TikTok?
That's really small. It's really small. I'd say like 5%. Or actually the posting and everybody else is the watching.
Posting and commenting, so everything, posting or commenting.
Oh, okay. Oh, then that's very different. 70-80%.
2.6.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Commenting and posting it. Oh my days. So everybody else, the other 98%, are just doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And TikTok's the most engaged at 2.6. Then it's Instagram, which is 0.65, so not even 1% of people post. Instagram. Facebook is next 0.15, and Twitter is 0.015% of users actually post.
Well, Twitter, it's 90% bots anyway, so I'm not surprised by that one. I don't know. Like, I find this, like, I've obviously worked in social media now for the last 14 years, and like I've seen lots of changes, but what I haven't seen change is I'm always trying to explain that, God bless my mother, she always gets a shout out on this podcast, and she's getting one early today. You try to describe and say, how are these companies the richest fucking companies in the world? Like, how are TikTok worth millions of billions? How are Facebook worth millions of billions when they're free to use? So, oh yeah, they're selling your data to advertisers. Because I was on the other side. I was in the advertising side of things. We're using your data to sell you shit.
Yeah.
That's how this works. So the longer you stay on the app, the longer that you're engaging or using the app, the more data we have to feed. So they're all designed for addiction. Like, as you said, your son, the doom scroll, sitting on the phone or sitting on the iPad and not coming away from it. I even see, you've probably seen this as well, the weird loop that you do on your phone. It's like you close off Instagram to reopen Instagram because, God forbid, something different might have happened in the 0.3 seconds it took you to close off the app. Right? Social media is meant for good. It was meant to be like family moved to Canada, especially from an Irish perspective. We have an awful lot of family who moved to Canada and Australia. It's like, I was never going to see my cousin's kids unless there was a social media app to let me do that. Yep. But it kind of lost its way somewhere along the lines, and it became, I find social media is a very dark and scary place these days. It's just,
I think it is. And I've got 3 kids. So I've got a 12-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So the discussions about the 12-year-old becoming on social media are now happening. And obviously, I'm quite lucky that I am privy to a lot more information than a lot of other parents are.
Yeah.
But also, I'm lucky because I've been mum and dad to my oldest. So he's the one I've got custody of. I've been mum and dad to him. I can actually have some really frank and honest and open discussions with him. So that this is what's going to happen. This is what can happen, and giving him examples of me hacking into his device, or giving him examples of something that's happening, and giving him real world examples of, look, this is what's happening. You can give your password away. This is how quickly I can find out what your password is. This is how quickly I can take over your account. So giving him some scare tactics like that.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. In fact, most of my pictures when I do talks on stage, I firmly believe that social media was designed with the best intentions to connect us. I really, really believe that. But I think now it's become on such a tool to be used for divisive reasons. And I don't think you can think of a more divisive tool out there that's just been ambushed by everybody else. And we want to bring back, you on social media, you're either with me or against me. And there's nothing in the middle. There's nothing in between. You're either with me or you're against me.
Yeah. And
it's totally taken out that ability to actually have a discussion. I don't know. I'm a Chelsea fan. I don't know who you support.
Fulham. You can see the little jersey up on the wall behind me.
Oh, there you go. I can see it. Yeah. But if we met in a pub, we can have a discussion about this. And I'm very highly unlikely that we'd end up getting into punches.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it could, but realistically, you look like a big bloke, so I'm probably going to be a little bit more.
I'm fat. There's a difference.
So, but what I'm trying to bring back, what we're trying to bring back, is actually bring back the conversation. And you don't have to, because it spills onto anything else. You post something that you think, I shouldn't have posted that, or someone says something to you, and you end up arguing with somebody that you've never met before and will probably never meet before, never ever meet. So what's the point in arguing with that person that makes you feel rubbish and interferes with your mental health? Well, or use a platform where you can go, do you know what? Let's have a chat about it. And you can respond to each other and everyone else can respond to you. And you can pile in. Even Roberto Carlos jumps in and piles in the conversation to give his opinion about it. Yeah. It forms a real mixed community. And our thing is, I know Elon Musk and all these people hide behind freedom of speech and all that nonsense. It's basically because if they said, I totally agree that there shouldn't be abuse on social media, they are screwed. Our platform has no abuse on it. No. And we'll never have any abuse on it. So we're a clean slate because we don't post, nothing goes live. So we're a clean slate. So eventually, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but in a couple of years' time, there will be a situation where they go, right, you have 2 trillion hours worth of content that's racist, Facebook or Instagram, Facebook. You have 3 trillion comments, which is about homophobia.
Yeah.
How are you going to stop this happening? If they have to go, it's easy. You can do it now. We've done it in 9 months. We've shown you can have an abuse-free social media platform.
Yeah,
it can be done. But if they had to then go through the backlog and get rid of all the abuse that was on there from the last 20 years, imagine how much data and imagine how much content is there that they will have to go through. That's an unachievable task. I don't know where you would start with that. It's
like take another 10 years to actually clean it up.
Exactly, and by that point, you would have just missed out on everything. So that's why they hide behind this freedom of speech bullshit.
Yeah,
it's because they know they can't do anything about it. And if they go, do you know what? Absolutely, I believe that people should be able to go onto a platform and not have their children said they should have cancer. I believe that you should be able to go on, footballers or anyone should be able to go on social media and give their opinion without being called something horrific.
Yeah, I think the footballer angle is very good because it's so amplified and it's so toxic. You can see it very quickly on Twitter, on TikTok. It's like what gets attention is the ranting nutbag fan. But like even just kind of what you're saying there on the social media side, it's fucked. It's like what someone said to me a few years back. It was like where we're at with social media is like, remember when we had the car and we hadn't figured out the seatbelt yet?
Yeah,
it's like that's what social media is, where it is now. We've got this tool that can run at 100 miles an hour, but we've got no safety rail in place to stop you from crashing clean into a fucking wall about this. Well, and it's like, I don't know if it's a reset that's needed or if it's something like, you know, PPS numbers and passports, that one account, one shot, one account, and that's you, and then you're accountable. I don't know what the solution is, but there has to be something.
So we were contemplating doing that sort of stuff as well. And I think the first point for us was, if we just moderate content, you don't need to know anyone's personal details.
Mm.
So if you stop someone being able to post something racist, they can't post anything racist. It's the end of the conversation.
Yeah. Grand.
Do you know what I mean? You don't need their personal details. And when we've got the ability to do the age verification, which is an interesting product that we're bringing to the market in probably about a year's time.
Perfect.
But I think it's just being logical. I mean, the suicide rates that are just through the roof now for young people, and obviously the Instagram and Meta know what the products are, and yet not doing anything about it. Why are we beholden to these companies so much? Why is Instagram so ingrained and so important in our life? We'll sacrifice thousands of young people every year to have us just so we can look good in a bikini or look at some woman's nice bum or some bloke's nice six pack. What is wrong with the world? Do you know what I mean? So our thing is, look, It's not about me, it's about us. And like Roberto Carlos doesn't need any more followers.
No.
But he can use his power of his audience to engage with me and go, Tim, you've actually said something really interesting. You're doing a really interesting project. Excuse me, you're doing a really interesting project. Let me show my audience, let me shine my light on Tim or John or Tanya down the street or someone who's said something interesting or is doing something really interesting, and use the power of his audience rather than just get him some more likes, which he doesn't really need. And actually, if you've won the World Cup and 5 Champions Leagues, you don't really care about likes.
No, I don't. I don't think so. You just,
do you know what I mean?
Sit in your sitting room, look at a few shiny medals on the wall, and be like, I don't know what Barry in Leitrim had to say about me, but I'm not really going to pay much attention to it.
But this is the thing. So we have on. So let me give an example of the type of content we have on our platform. So let's say Gilberto says, "I think Arsenal are going to win the Premier League this year." And we can all then respond with our own video saying yes, no, but because this is abuse free, we have to think of something quite interesting to make an impact. So that's one awful moment. Say that I was an Arsenal fan, and I said, you know what? I think you've got a great chance. I think we've got a great chance. We could do with a striker though. We really need a striker. We need a 20 goal a season striker. We need to get one in the transfer window. I also think left back is not looking great for us. We need a new left back. I really think so. Yeah. So that's the first wave of responses. People like that. Gilberto can then go through and go, Tim's got a really interesting point. I'm going to feature him. So he clicks a button called feature, and I get a notification that Gilberto Silva has featured my video. And I go, what does that mean? I click the video, click the notification. There's my video in his feed. I go, oh my God, Gilberto Silva's just
best day ever, yeah.
Also, everybody else who follows Gilberto gets that same notification. So now they all go from it. All of Gilberto's audience comes and looks at my video because if it's good enough for Gilberto, it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And they can respond to my video. I go, Tim, no, I don't think so, mate. I don't think we need another new striker. We're scoring goals everywhere. We need a new goalie. Do you know what I mean? So now everyone can respond to me.
Yeah.
But it also means, and we've had this happen loads of times where normally when Roberto's waiting for a flight somewhere, and he responds to fans with their own videos. So we had one of the best example of this. There was another Arsenal fan posted a video on Strive on our app saying, what song brings a small football-related song brings a smile to your face and gets you kind of a little bit emotional? People are going, oh, it's the Old Trafford song, it's the Chelsea song, it's the Fulham song, all this sort of stuff. And then you're scrolling through the responses, and then you go, hang on a minute, that was Roberto Carlos. And it's Roberto Carlos going, do you know what? The song that always got me emotional was a Champions League song. Whenever I was at the Bernabeu and the tunnel waited to come out and I had the Champions League song, I got goosebumps and I started to cry. I just felt so emotional for me. You're going, oh, flipping out, Roberto Carlos has responded to this bloke. And this fan was just, no one knew who this guy was. And the fan then responded to Roberto Carlos with his own video. Saying, what are you doing responding to my video? This makes no sense. And that's what social media should be about.
That's what it should be, yeah.
Those moments.
That's I'm not gonna lie, I love what you're doing. Because I've been seeing a lot of content recently about Strive Aid. So yes. I wouldn't mind talking a bit about this because I think it's very important. You mentioned like the mental health, the men's mental health, the movement around this. It's a bad time for mental health. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
As someone I've been, I've done my own bits down the years. I've been I've seen my therapist. I have a guy called Yanko. He's a lovely dude. He keeps me sane. Thank God. But I've also been from Limerick in Ireland. We have a very, very high male suicide rate. It's actually shocking. I don't think anybody from this city doesn't know someone or doesn't know someone affected by suicide. So seeing something like Strive Aid, trying to really amplify this message, I really appreciate it. So I'll let you obviously speak about it, and I need to plug back in my laptop. So carry on.
Yeah. So it's So I've lost 6 friends to suicide. All either school friends or football mates. All family guys. I'm 44. They're all roughly my age. So that was in the last 6 years probably. And the last 2 hit me quite bad. And it's the usual, would never have thought of them. And you go through the different stages where you're just desperately sad, and then you're getting frustrated going, look, you just could have told me. If it was money, we could have fixed something. If it was your wife was cheating, oh my God, that but it wasn't that. But if it was something going on, we could have worked it through, mate. Why did you do this? And then you get the angry stage saying, do you know what I mean? Look at the people you left behind, look at the family you've left behind. So yeah, the last two hit me quite bad, and we've been wanting to put someone at Strive had been wanting to put on a football match. Had been pestering me for ages about doing one, and I was like, I'm an app, I'm not interested. And I thought, well, actually, if we can do it for mental health, mental health in general, it doesn't have to be men's,
Yeah.
and raising awareness and money for that, I'm all in for it. So Strive Aid was Team Gilberto Silva versus Team Roberto Carlos. It was about 3 weeks ago in a little village near me called Lewis, which is a cracking football ground. If you ever get time to come over to the UK, get yourself to Lewis Football Club. It's been voted the best football ground in the UK 4 or 5 times a year. It's breathtaking. It's non-league football, so it holds about 3,000 people. And you go through the front door, and the pitch drops down by about 50 feet, and in the background you see the South Downs. It's one of the most beautiful grounds, and even Roberto and Gilberto that have played at the best grounds in the world were blown away by it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, so it was in Lewis. We had 6 weeks to put it on. We had Stilian Petrov, Jens Lehmann in goal, who was unbelievable, by the way. I don't know if
I'd say, is he still absolutely bananas?
Absolutely batshit crazy. I love him, though. He's a really nice guy. He flew over from Germany just to come to the football match and flew back. So that was great. Jeremy Aliadier was there. Eva Casagrande, who actually was playing the women's team. Gilberto's first team in Brazil was Atletico Mineiro, and she played in that team as well, the women's side. And then we had a load of YouTubers, and just the whole vibe from the event was absolutely amazing. We selected the people that turned up so well because everyone just got bought into this great event where people wanted to do some stuff. So we had Danny Aarons was there, Jack Mate was there, a load of big football content creators that were like, I'm playing with Roberto Carlos, this is mad. And my son's walking around going, who's Danny Aarons? So it was amazing. So we want to, this is the mad bit. So we said, if we get 500,000 views in the month afterwards with all the content from Strive Aid, we'll have been blown away. We'd have been so happy with what we put together. After 7 days, we'd over 40 million views on the content for Strive Aid. So it goes to show the purpose was what people wanted, and that the engagement, that's what made our match different, is everybody's got to have a chat with Roberto. Everybody got to have Roberto. I signed about 500 autographs and the photos and stuff, and it was just fantastic. The mascots were there, and it was all a really intimate event. And it was what I wanted to try and do was recreate what Striver is, or the essence of Striver in real life.
Yeah.
And in Striver, it's if we all feel safe and secure, we all engage more. So Roberto and Gilberto walk around the crowd, walk through the crowd, signed autographs. In fact, I've got to say something. So I'm 44, and all the dads basically all of our kids, all the dad group, all of our kids watch YouTube and YouTubers.
And they were mad about the YouTubers, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we just see them sort of doing stupid stuff on our kids' devices and going, what is the point of these people? I've had so many messages from parents that were at that ground who have a different view on these YouTubers now, which I'm so pleased with, because every single one of them turned a face around that day. There were people in that crowd that had lost their dad to suicide. There was people in the crowd that lost their sons, their brothers to suicide. And we didn't make them aware to them, but everybody there had a photo. Everybody had an autograph. And those boys that are YouTubers that aren't necessarily used to that sort of situation handled themselves with such class and dignity. I get sort of quite emotional when I talk about it because they were just phenomenal about it. You know, Roberto and Gilberto used to be swamped by people, but these guys just behaved with such class and integrity that I was really, really proud of what we put on.
John, I love to hear that though as well, because I think that there's that kind of space gets really shit on. It's like, oh, you're an influencer, oh, you're a YouTuber, you're obviously some dancing goal, rather than an actual like.
But then it's the same. It's the same as people call themselves an entrepreneur. I hate the phrase entrepreneur because you get an entrepreneur who's clearly not an entrepreneur, and it's the people that aren't entrepreneurs that give entrepreneurs a bad name. The same as influencers. The people that aren't influencers but say they're influencers give influencers a bad name.
100%.
So I was really pleased with that, and in fact, that spurred me on to do a podcast with them all, called The Business of Content, and it's actually treating them. I think they're massively undervalued at the moment. If you just take our market, which is currently football, it's impossible to get anywhere near any of the top Premier League football, any of the top 200 footballers in the world. It's impossible to get anywhere near with them.
Yeah.
They're wrapped up in cotton wool. They've been forced because they're so expensive. It costs so much to buy them. They're wrapped in cotton wool. So you have no access to them. These YouTubers, you can walk past them in the street and have a high five with them, say hello, go for a coffee with them, or go for a beer with them.
Yeah.
They're so much more accessible. And if you're a brand, who would you rather be with? Would you rather pay a footballer a load of money, or would you rather pay an influencer? I get the value of footballers, don't get me wrong. But I feel that the influencer market, or content creator market, such an untapped market right now, that I want to do everything I can to try and support them. And that's what we're building with Strivers. We're building a platform which is built by content creators, because they will bring the audience. So we have a load of ambassadors that are content creators. And the podcast that I'm doing with them is called The Business of Content. And it's actually talking to them, that saying, look, being a content creator or an influencer is more than going, hey guys, on a YouTube video. There's thought and process about it, and they are their own business. They are true entrepreneurs doing something drastically different to everybody. So it's helped giving a shine a light into those people that are sort of mavericks and entrepreneurs in their own right.
Yeah, like no, I get it, because obviously, like, even doing stuff like this, like, people just assume you rock on, and it's like, oh, you've somebody cool to talk to today. It's like, there's stuff that has to happen to actually get here. It's not like a message this morning. Go, do you have an hour to just chat shit? It doesn't work like that. Like, we're 10 years now doing Goosed. Like,
are you?
Yeah.
So how did you get started? Tell me more about how you got started.
We actually got started because myself and Marty worked in Car From Warehouse. God bless Car From Warehouse, one of the greatest places I ever worked. And I met Martin, oddly enough. So we have this very weird thing of, I replaced Martin. Martin went up to the office, and I got hired in the shop in Limerick as his replacement. And then a few months later, I went up to the office, and oddly enough, I met Martin on a bus to a six-a-side game.
Right.
And very much Goose was getting started, and it was like, why Goose? Oh, we're not allowed to swear at customers on the shop floor. If someone comes in with a phone dropped in the toilet, you can't swear at them and go, you fuck it. You go, Jesus, now it's Goose. Like, and very much the mission at that point became tech you'll get. So one side, tech you'll understand, or the other side, tech we'd recommend. And that's very much on a bus to a six-a-side in Dublin, where this kind of kickstarted many years ago.
Wow.
We're idiots. But to this day, like, every time we go and do something, it's like, would your mum understand what we're talking about? And if she does, A1, then we're on the right track.
Nice. Love that. Good stuff.
It opens up a lot of other doors, like, because we'll say, like, obviously when I started this, I was working just in social media, and I then went into complete digital marketing overview because I could test things out here, break it without breaking a company, test it out over here. And then earlier this year, I quit my job to start a fantasy football game.
Nice.
So this and my fantasy football game are 2 full-time jobs now.
What's the fantasy football game? Is it you create your own app or your own platform?
Yeah, so where we're at now is pre-launch. So we're hoping MVP to beta end of February. We're collapsing the women's game over the men's game because it's data driven. Like, what does a centre back actually do on a pitch? They tackle, they do interceptions, they do aerial duels. So we look at each position. Like, you play normal fantasy football. If you can't pick defenders unless they're wingbacks, you can't pick Rodri, even though he's the best player in the world, because he doesn't score the goals, which makes no sense. So essentially, we look at all of the positions and go, what's their job? Cool, let's make points-based metrics according to what their job is. So players like your Kantes, this also started in the back of that same fucking phone shop, by the
way. How do you get the data through from analysing a centre-back and analysing a centre defensive midfielder whose points is very different to like Kevin De Bruyne, who's all about assists? So where do you get your data?
Straight through Opta.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so there's one of the kind of data providers. So then we manipulated kind of whichever way we fancy. So we looked at 116 data points across each of the positions and broke it down in a weighting scale. So even though a defender will get points for interceptions, a midfielder will as well. Mm-hmm. And then it's a case of, Cool. So when you actually break it into a defender like a midfielder like Kevin De Bruyne or Rodri, it's about value of actions and stuff like that. So if we were to look at our midfielders right now, Dwight McNeil is one of the best performing because even though Everton are having a really, really poor season, he's doing the job that he's meant to be doing, and it's not his fault that the players around him aren't.
Yeah.
So,
he's in my team, actually. I've got my son's of the fantasy football league I do. I'm bottom and my son's top. And the amount of shit I get on a daily basis. And I mean, that awful, those awful seasons you have. Normally, I'm pretty good.
yeah,
Awesome, awful seasons you have. No matter what you do,
it's not getting better.
Decision. So I took out Chris Wood the week before he got started scoring hat tricks.
Yep.
I took out Cole Palmer before he scored his hat trick. One weekend I had -2 points.
Oh no! Yeah, you're having a bit.
My players were injured or sent off.
Oh, you're having a bear. No,
stinker, absolute stinker. So
I'm doing okay this year. I'm third in the FPL one, and then in our own one, it's head-to-head draft style. So we've got our group of mates that we're playing against regular season, postseason. When we get to the end of the year, it goes into playoffs and stuff like that, which means that we all hate each other thoroughly and in with so much passion, because it means that throughout the year I'll make a trade with you just so we can shaft Roberto because he might be uppity that he won last week. So we'll trade and transfer amongst ourselves, and it gives that kind of level. But what it means was Jimmy was playing his brother about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago when Cole Palmer scored the 4 goals.
Yeah.
Now Jimmy's a Brighton fan, so he had Cole Palmer against him, against his team, and you should have seen the joy it brought to all of us. Going, guess who scored? Oh, he scored again. Oh, he scored again. Oh, he scored again. It's the first half. This is the best day ever.
Nice.
Well, and then he lost.
Brighton's the closest Premier League club to me. I'm 20 minutes away from the Amex.
I'd say that's a great place to actually see a game live.
Yeah, it's really good.
Been to Old Trafford. Where have I been in England? Craven Cottage, obviously. Old Trafford a couple of times. Anfield once. Anfield was actually quite cool.
Yeah. But if that's the fantasy football thing, sounds really interesting. If you want any help or stuff or advice, and a little bit about football, so if you need anything.
Always. I'll send you on the link after this.
On a Zoom call rather than doing a podcast.
Oh, yeah, we're doing a couple of things. Focus. Anyway, back on track here. We tangents off there for a minute. What was I saying was, so yeah, Strive basically. So what is now that's done, dusted.
Yeah.
Where are we going next?
London. So basically, we wanted to put on a charity football match this year. We spoke to Gilberto and Roberto, and they said 17th of November, find a pitch. We're like, all right, it's October, okay. So we found a pitch. Lewis was super helpful, worked with us beautifully. So yeah, we're now talking about where we go next. So we've had to promise to Roberto that it will be somewhere hot, or it'll be in the summer.
Yep.
So it'll be in the summer, and watch this space.
Oh, we're going somewhere fun.
Yeah.
I will keep an eye on this. So big picture stuff. So when we're looking at the app, obviously it's what does the next 6 months to a year look like for Striver?
Yeah, so we're on investment round at the moment. That's to make some few big changes. The MVP went out. We spoke to a load of content creators that kind of basically said, look, we would love an app that did this, or love an app that didn't do that. So we've listened to them. So with the investment coming through, we're making those changes. We've got some massive projects coming up. I can't say who, but they are the biggest organisation in football, and the second biggest organisation in world football as well.
Right.
And we're talking to about 6 Premier League clubs, and about 50 content creators joining the platform as well.
That's
cool. Some unique content that's only going to be on Striver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we basically did the MVP, which was just a test to see if anyone, one, would like it, and 2, if it actually worked. And it does. And people do.
Yeah.
Which is really good. So yeah, now we're looking at scaling.
Yeah, no, I remember I obviously had the first touch point with the literally this time last year in a car park. And it was very I have to having met the guys and just listening to the talk that was done and stuff like that. I was just like, holy fuck. There's something to this, even outside of football, but for footballers, being a football fan or even someone involved, like I've played, I've coached, I'm shit, it's fine. But like you see it down the years with players like Harry Maguire, probably being the prime example of the last few years. What he had to listen to online was absolutely shocking. But like, be critical. Like I'd say anybody would be very open to hands up, going, you can be critical, don't be a cunt. There's a difference.
I should see if I can use that on a marketing strapline, maybe. Might struggle to get through that. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And do you know, it's not like people talk about the football side of things, which is the footballers. Excuse me, sorry. Apologies, I've got the flu. If everyone's listening to this on the podcast and continually hearing me cough, I'm sorry.
We're doing our best.
So Gilberto and Roberto, obviously on the side of the footballers get abused loads, and it's unfair and unwarranted and pretty disgusting what they have to put up with. I'm more on the fan side of things. That's not to say that I don't think it's important to stop the players getting abused or celebrities or anyone getting abused.
Yeah.
My thing is, what happens if the fan is abused? If they're not a super famous footballer that has a marketing team around them, if they're just a little kid who just who loves Roberto Carlos and posted something nice from on Twitter or TikTok, and they get shouted down and a load of abuse for the way they look.
Yeah.
How does that kid then feel?
Yeah, that's
what encouragement has that kid got to be a positive influence on the world? Fuck all. Yeah. So my side of things is the footballers, we can look after them, we can deal with them, and if they want to come over to us, but we're not going to force you. My side of things is looking after the fans, and if we look after the fans and make them feel safe, they're the engine that drives the players.
Yeah.
Instead of having one, if you were a footballer, you can see the engagement rates falling off on social media anyway. I've told you the levels of it, and how pathetic it is. So people are just getting bored of it. They know it's not the footballer. They know it's not, I don't know, Jack Grealish actually posting. It's his agent. They know. Everyone knows. No one's stupid, which is why the engagement's so small. And like, what's the point of doing a like? That's why everything is engagement-wise is just dropping off. People want access and people want a voice nowadays. So we're giving people that voice and that access. So if you're a fan, if you're a footballer, you can have, or a football club or a brand, you can have your fans all communicating with each other. And it doesn't have to be positive. If we were building a social media platform for football that you can only allow positivity in it, would be fun.
It wouldn't work. we're not happy people. That's why we watch football. We enjoy it. We enjoy pain.
We love a moan, exactly. So, but it's about giving the people that you can be negative.
Yeah,
it's how you're negative, and we get so. Well, how do you understand what's abuse and what's? I had it literally last week when I was at Leaders in Chelsea, and one of the questions was, who decides what's abuse? I was like, I think we can probably in the next 5 minutes come up with 20 phrases which are only entitled to be highly abusive. I hope your child gets cancer. I don't think there's anything really you could justify that's anything other than abusive.
Yeah, things just touch, like,
calling someone an effing monkey. I'd say that's probably your struggle to find a positive or non-abusive or non-racist way of looking at that. All we do, instead of moderating it once it's live, we moderate it first.
Yeah,
that's it. We're not sort of taking your freedom of speech away.
It's not.
We're just stopping people saying something really, really, really horrific, like "I'm going to slit your monkey child's throat." Who I've seen.
Yeah, like this. Like I've obviously worked in companies where online presence is big, and like being in the social media team, it's like here's videos that get sent to me personally, privately, going, "This is what I do to you for your opinions." Like, hold on, I'm just writing things for like chill the fuck. Some of the stuff that I received like last year, 2 years ago, just even on LinkedIn, I was like, "Fuck it."
LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. Just
why? What did you do?
Me, I did nothing. It was, we'll say, in relation to certain companies and stuff that I would have worked with in the past, and the job title being social media for said companies. It's like, the perception and the things they give. That's just nature of the game with things that happen online. People are shit. Like, we know this.
Yeah. I think generally people are quite good. They just get provoked really easily, and like I can't.
People inherently are good, but it's almost like because you know that you get more attention by being a rampant, screaming psycho, that's what you become. Like, I've seen it. Jesus, was this who did this on Twitter a couple of years ago? It was like an experiment that I saw. It was actually post positive stuff and see what impression, how many impressions it makes, and then post something hateful. And they tested on a few platforms, and it was like, oh, would you look at this? Twitter and TikTok are like 8-1 promoting hate over happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you want to. I say you've got. I say to my son, we're talking about TikTok. Sorry, about social media. I'm like, you can have it for a certain bit, but obviously it's totally locked down. And I said, what you look at, the algorithm for longer, the algorithm understands. And if you watch some dark stuff that isn't making you happy, or people complaining or whatever, that's what the algorithm sends you.
Mm.
You need to bring sunshine to your life. Social media is here to bring sunshine to your life, not darkness.
Yeah.
Because I have it. I get sometimes during the day when you're hungover on the sofa and you go, do you know what? I'm not even going to talk to anybody. I'm going to order a takeaway and we're all going to eat, and then we're just going to sit in silence on our phones on the sofa. And you get caught, and I get caught down like a Trump negativity thing, or Jesus, or something like that. And before you know it, you're going, wow, I'm starting to feel really like agitated and upset. And I go, it's because this is what I'm being forced to look at. You need to think of if you look at every single video that you consume, it's telling the algorithm what you want to see. So if you look at something that winds you up continually,
you're gonna get more of it.
So I'm actually quickly proud. You can look at my all my platforms that I'm on, and it's actually pretty hard. It's more about Michael Jordan or a pair of Jordans. It's pretty boring, but it's all about sort of positivity rather than sort of stuff that winds me up. Because I've got 3 kids and a startup. I don't need more stuff in my life to wind me up. I've completed that bit.
Yeah, you've got 3 kids. They're a handful enough.
Exactly. They wind me up enough as it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's the sort of lesson I'd say to most young people is, look, be careful. This is your what you view is showing the algorithm what you want to view. So if you watched 10 seconds of a video about Donald Trump, the algorithm is going to send you more videos about Donald Trump.
Mm.
If you watch a video for half a second about Man United, it's not going to send you stuff about Man United.
Yeah, it's just going to be like, okay, you bypass that, let's go.
Exactly.
Like none of this is like I don't think social media is rocket science. Like I'm very anal about my feeds. So like my TikTok is very much football. That's all the content. Then Instagram is where I get my funnies. I literally have the Instagram Reels is just for, okay, I need a 5-minute pick me up, and it's just all mad comedies, like comedy acts, like stand-up comedians. I have it, but anything I don't see it, I literally will go, cool, not interested, show no more of this. I don't. It's like, I work in this. I do enough of this. I don't need to see more annoyance from this. Thanks. Please don't make me have to moderate any of this more. But like, what I find fascinating about what you're doing is it's the pre-moderation, because actually Martin, the co-founder here, he has this whole running thing on the Goose TikTok about flagging content and seeing how long, if at all, it gets actioned. And I think he's like 100 now at this point, or something crazy like that. I mean, is it that hard to pre-moderate? Is it like trigger words? I have 2 questions left for you, and I want to kind of know about the AI that does this. Is the first one, and then the regulation that we've obviously seen in Australia about 16-year-old and under not being on social media. Those are the last 2 questions I have for you today. So, talk to me about AI, the buzzword of the world right now.
Strap yourselves in for the fun conversation of AI. So we obviously have 2 types of content, basically, 2 forms of media, if you like. One is comments, which is written, and 2 is videos, with all responses. So you have 2 types of videos: starting of a conversation or a challenge, or responding. So there's 2 types. But let's do the comments first. So comments are moderated instantly. You wouldn't even know that they've been moderated. And what we look at is words, every single word individually, and then what's next to those words. So phrase.
Yeah.
And then the sentences, and then a message as a whole. So that's the sort of steps it's done. And from that, we get an intent rating. What's intended by that post? Was it intended to be funny? It's just because it had bad language, it was flagged. Or was it designed to be abusive? And if so, what sort of abuse was it supposed to be? Racist, homophobic, or anything else?
Yeah.
So that's done instantly. You wouldn't even know. So that's done. job done. Content moderation is done. Comments moderation is done. Then for the video, what we do is we take the video file, and we strip the audio file off it to convert that into text, and then moderate in the same way. And then for the video, we take a screen grab every 0.3 of a second, and every 0.3 of a second, we then look at nudity, violence, drug taking, all that sort of stuff, to see if it's been, to see what it's like, to see if it should get through. And that's done. A 3-minute video takes 0.5 of a second to moderate.
Really?
Yep.
Fuck. That's really impressive. I would have thought that would have been like, okay, we'll scan this, come back an hour later in your comment.
It would be no point in doing that. There'd be no point in that because people wouldn't be bothered. They want it to be up straight away. It takes an extra point. If you've had a race, you put up the same, you had Striver open on one phone and say Instagram open on another, it would take an extra point, and upload the same video, it would take an extra 0.5 of a second.
So not enough that anybody's going to pay attention or notice.
we're all busy, but I'm sure we got half a second.
So what you're telling me is that the reason why TikTok and Instagram and Twitter aren't doing this is because they literally couldn't be arsed.
No, what I'm saying is what I mentioned before.
Yeah.
They went, do you know what, we can do this. They go, fine, because they can. We've done it in 9 months.
Yeah.
Right? We've done it. We can show you they can be a platform with zero abuse. Also, but what do you have a guess what you think our engagement is? Engagement level for our users. I mentioned the negative side of things.
I'd say it's higher. It's probably higher because people would like that. Are you talking maybe 4%, or are we talking higher into around 10?
68.
Fuck off. Is that just because it is designed for that instant response kind of style?
It's because it's abuse free, so you don't have to worry about the fear of being made fun of and ridiculed.
Yep.
And also, our app is designed for responses, so the content is designed to get you to respond, not in a negative way, saying, "Hey, Donald Trump is the best president ever," and people go, it's designed to elicit positivity from it and
tell me why or something. It opens up an actual conversation rather than just shouting it down. It's like, well, if you want to have a conversation, want to have a constructive conversation, let's go. I can disagree with you. Here's why, rather than I don't need to call you a bunch of names.
Right, exactly that. So our engagement was much like what we were talking about before that. Sorry. So the engagement level is massively high, and that's the difference in our platform. It's actually a platform that's designed to engage rather than just one-way traffic. It's like we've invented. It's like we've gone from having radio to having a phone in.
This is so logical. It's so logical. It's so simple. I think that football is obviously a great area to start in because of the amplification. And it's so obvious. You're going to obviously see music. I think you're going to see like a lot of musicians and stuff who are going to want to come on this.
We've got an unbelievable plan for music. We'll be changing the music scene when we come.
Oh, you can't say, okay, you're gonna have to send me on details as soon as you're allowed to talk about it, because
that's probably going to be about 18 months, but we'll be changing the music scene in a way you can't even imagine.
I'm thinking the army of Swifties being able to, oh Jesus, you're going to need to wait to get Taylor Swift on, because that might collapse your whole infrastructure.
Mate, you're fine.
Jesus, this is really cool. Is there anything that we actually haven't talked about that you think we should discuss about Striver, Strive Aid, or just our general mission where we're going here?
No, I'm all good, mate. I'm happy if you come up with some questions for next time and you want to grill me a little bit harder, then feel free to.
I always have loads of questions, but I really like these type of chats where it's like finding out like the backstory and why and how, and I think there's something major in this. This is more than just like a fan engagement tool for football fans. I know that's how I found out about it, but social media that can actually be moderated so that it's not a bunch of hateful pricks screaming into the abyss of the internet. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought, right? But it's giving the attention to not the people that are shouting the rude things and go, oh, they get banned and stuff, because that's what it is. They get screen grabbed and posted, and then they through their mates group they suddenly get some sort of weird satisfaction that they're the one that's been prosecuted. Well, not actually, they're not getting prosecuted. That's the problem. So Ivan Toney came back from obviously his ban last year.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not sure how much into some information I can say. let's rewind that. There was a player in the Premier League last year, last season, who came back and was racially abused. And Meta refused to give the police the user account details so they could prosecute him. So what it's not the fact that they just don't want to do, they just don't want to moderate content because it will create a big pain in the butt for them. Because if they say, right, we're going to moderate content before it goes live like Striver do, because it's the normal, logical way of doing it, imagine the amount of money they're going to have to try and moderate the rest of the stuff that's already happened. They'll have to shut everything down because there's no way they can moderate that. So they're creating a problem for themselves.
Yeah.
That's what they don't want to tell you. They're creating a huge problem for themselves. So yeah, who would have thought doing the right thing is actually going to pay off?
But Joe, that's what I like about stuff like this, like technology. That's not about let's rinse you for as much money as we can. it's not about that. I love the mental health mission as part of this as well. Like it's something that's really important, and I think sports is a great place to be able to amplify that message to a bigger audience because it's something that's not going away, and it's horrible seeing the younger generation like locked in on tablets and just it's like, please don't watch Andrew Tate. Like, why are you doing that? Do you know what I mean?
He's speaking to somebody. He's speaking to somebody. He wouldn't just be unless there was something wrong or something. Unless he was doing something right. I'm not an Andrew Tate fan, but
no, but that's the thing.
Somebody, an audience that is currently no one else is tapping into.
But that's the thing. There's a space for all these people because that's how we've created the world now. I think, and that's a problem, and I don't like it. Right. In terms of if people, so obviously you've done the MVP, you're waiting for a full public launch on the main app now in the near future. So if people want to get on the waiting list, people want to find out more about what you're up to, give me the big dirty pitch, and we'll let you go about your day and get your lemon sip and get back to bed.
Thank you, mate. I've already overdosed on lemon sips, so I won't be having any more of that. So if you go to, we have a waiting list for Striver, which is striver.co.uk. Get yourself on there, and that keeps us updated. follow me if you wanted to follow me. What I thought I was talking, not everything was full of shit. And you're interested in me, then follow me on Instagram at Tim Chase or the company Striver. So follow us on anything you like. We're happy to have the conversation.
Fantastic. Okay, so I have to deep breath because this is the part where I have to ramble off 100 things in the space of 5 seconds. Okay, so this is our second last podcast of the year. I'm going to have Martin, Alex, and the rest of the Goose Pod squad up next week for a little end of year wrap up. We're obviously available on all of the good podcasting places, that's Spotify, YouTube, Apple, blah blah blah, etc. We're on all of the social media places apart from X because we don't fuck around with that place anymore. Goosed.ie on every other single social media platform. Follow us. We sometimes are fun. The rest of the time we're this. Okay, cool. On that, Tim, absolutely so much appreciate your time. This has been really fun for me. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited to see what the next year is going to have for yourself and Striver. So happy Christmas, I guess, because we're that close to that time of year now. And really appreciate it again. Thank you.
No, Sean, thanks for having me on. And hopefully next time I come back, if you want to invite me back, I won't be coughing all over the place.
We'll have you back, and I'll make sure next time I'm at an event in England, I'll be giving you a shout.
Do it, man. Feliz Navidad!
Feliz Navidad!